Hey, hi, hello. It's a Toonkind at 12 FPS, and I don't think we actually decided who was introducing this in, but hey, I'm Heartless. I will be playing for this one, Cyrille the Fortuneteller, and I'm
Yes.
joined by a lovely friend.
Hello. We're both incredibly just yawny, sleepy bastards. There's gonna be some yawning in this, at least from my side. Hello, I'm Dew. I'm gonna be playing um Elizabeth Treps, dragon researcher. No, she's not a dragon. She researches dragons. Stop saying she's a dragon. She likes dragons plenty, but she is not actually a dragon. Please stop trying to look for a tail. She does not have one.
um,
Oh.
is this in Toontown? Just a question. We could have it anywhere.
Um,
It could be in a place.
Literally anywhere. I imagine it's not too... Sorry, here's the first yawn of the FPS. Oh, I've got to keep a yawn counter. Gosh, no, I don't imagine it is in Toontown because the thing with Elizabeth is right now she's kind of traveling around. Um, but she's a traveler. She travels from place to place, and
Mhm.
she's been finding places of interest.
Mhm.
Um, she's she's just I would say she's probably on like just a pathway, honestly. It can literally be just a pathway anywhere.
I'm gonna say it should be a pathway into town because Cyril wouldn't set up shop if he was in the middle of traveling.
Fair enough. You're not that kind of guy. No tent, no random tent on the side of the road.
So the thing is it would be a random tent on the side of the road as long as the road gets to a town or a city within like, 30 minutes or half a
Fair enough.
day.
Decent traveling distance. Okay.
Yes.
I suppose this is somewhere somewhat outside of Toontown then. Um,
I mean, we could be outside of Halloween Town.
I mean, we could.
We could also be
Gosh, is
outside of
Elizabeth
a
going to
place,
Halloween?
which is
A
an
place
actual
is an idea.
place.
It is. Um, Man alive. Okay. It could be anywhere.
it
It does
it
the
literally could be
specific
anywhere in Idquell. I just want to
literally
know.
anywhere. Um, Gosh, okay, I'll roll D3 because you suggested three things and I can't brain is not thinking for me at the moment. Okay, it's Halloween Town then.
Mhm. Okay.
Elizabeth's going to Halloween Town, don't ask her why. It just looks kinda
I don't
interesting.
know. No, there might be dragons there. You don't know.
Might be some undead dragons there. Like Halloween
Yeah.
Town fucking spooky.
Some Draco Liches.
Yeah. Oh God, Draco Liches. Oh God.
And so Cyril, for his part, has come around to Halloween Town because he's a traveling fortune teller. He doesn't tend to stick around one place for very long. Um, it would actually be quite unusual if he did. So he's here, trying to set up his tent, and the problem he's running into is that his portable tent in a box that he bought like 25 years ago from Emga is 25 years old and it no longer works.
I respect. I respect
So
seriously.
he'd put the box on the ground and push the button to open it, and it just opens and splays out all on the ground. And he's just looking down at it. Like,
It makes a, it just makes a sad blue failing to inflate noise like a as it all
yes.
just comes out the box.
Exactly.
Gosh,
And
Cyril buddy.
he's got a so the way his expressions work is that he doesn't actually have a face. It's all made out of smoke. So right now, it's just his smoke is just forming a bunch of different question marks. Like, how am I going to do this? As he's looking down at the mess before him.
Damn, that sure is a mess you got right there. Um, hmm. Now, let me see. Okay. I'm not gonna. I imagine this is pretty damn clear on the side of the road. I'm not gonna fire roll perception for this. This is
Yeah,
really a
it
person
is
putting
very
content up.
clear. Like there is a there's a oh dang. Now I gotta remember how tall he is. It's 5'3" man with a crystal ball for a head and a purple cape, and he's got his gloved hands on his hips as he's looking down at the mess, and he's going like it's supposed to, make itself.
Clears his throat, it twitches, and it does nothing else. Well, I guess if you're busy tapping your foot or crossing your arms and looking down at this thing, you are. I don't know how surprised you're going to be by the sound of a.
Mm?
You're going to hear a what sounds like two pairs of feet and then a thunk, and then two pairs of feet and then a thunk. Um, if you were to look around, you would see coming up the road towards you, towards Halloween Town, is a real kind of some slouch with a very long staff.
Mm-hmm.
Just ambling along.
I'm gonna roll my d10.
Oh boy.
That's a 6. Um, at the first thumping sound,
Mhm.
uh, Cyril reaches behind him, like underneath his cloak, and pulls out his quarterstaff, and then puts it down on the ground and looks towards it.
Um, well, this person gets closer and closer, and as they do, you see that they are wearing a cloak of some description.
Mhm.
There is a satchel from hanging across their shoulders, and they seem to have this. As they get closer, they have like a tight bun drawn up on the top of their head, and two loops of hair
Mhm.
um, going underneath their ears, and it's an older real kind of woman,
Mhm.
tan, weathered skin, um,
Yep.
and she appears to just have her nose stuck in a book.
Um. So he's going to so the question marks is going to be replaced with a very sincere, nice smile, and he's going to excuse me. Uh, trying to remember
Mm.
how I do his voice. Um,
Pat, you take your time.
excuse
Let's
me,
see.
lovely madam. Uh, where are you heading these days?
Um, the first, excuse me. Actually, I'm gonna roll perception. How far in your books are you? How how lost are you in the book source?
The
Ooh, big
eternal
big
dog.
hellhound.
Yep, there's a hellhound up the road.
They're playing fetch with someone's bone. It's fine. They're getting good exercise. Good hellhound owner right there. That's a 9. So at the excuse me, miss, you don't see a reaction, but as you keep talking and you see this person just kind of tilt their head to the side and raise her head and look around, and they look around and they look at you and says, "Oh, oh, right, oh, oh, hello there. Well, I'm heading towards Halloween Town, in case you hadn't noticed, and, well, forgive me and my manners, and quickly closes the book, tucks it in their satchel,
Mhm.
and kind of just looks at what you're trying to set up. I suppose you may, I am Elizabeth. I'm, well, I'm just on the road, and it seems you are as well, and you seem to be, is that all yours? And first bare hand, she just points at the mess.
Mhm. Cyril actually. So the funny thing about Cyril is that he can turn around and look without actually turning his body because his crystal ball is 360 degrees. All he has to do is turn the smoke. So when she starts actually like talking to him, he does actually like turn his body around. And
Okay, continue. Just continue.
and just kind of like offer out a gloved hand for a shake. He says,
Uh, go ahead, sorry.
and he says, "Well, yes, I am a traveler. I am Cyrille, the Fortuneteller. It is positively a pleasure to meet you."
Oh my gosh, okay, so I rolled a deception of 6. Bill, you look at this woman, and she is clearly studying the inside of your head very, very closely. There is a look of There's a look of fascination. and you can tell she's trying to not be obvious about it, but she is looking inside of your head and not. She's not looking at your eyes, she's looking through you.
Yep.
Literally looking through you. And she absentmindedly raises her hand and takes yours and shakes it and says, "Yes, a pleasure indeed. That is. Are you perhaps a denizen of Halloween Town? I understand you are a traveller, but did you perhaps originate from Halloween Town?
Oh, no, 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 no. I've not originated from this wonderful place. Uh, I'm from far afield, but, well, I've been a president of Einquell for quite some time. At the very least, 30 years.
30 years. My. That is that is quite a long time indeed. She gives you a quirk of a smile and nod and says, "And may I just say, uh, I suppose I should ask your pronouns, sir,
Mhm.
madam, miss.
Uh, he, him, yes.
Ah, splendid. She, her." And with that, lets go of your hand and says, "And I must say, it is wonderful to meet such a splendid gentleman on the side of the road. It's not often I get, what's the word? There is a specific word for what for what people do, but it's not coming to me at the moment." Shakes her head. But thank you for your compliments, good sir.
As you compliment him, he just kind of hearts start appearing behind like the simulated face, like, oh, I was just complimented.
Oh my god. Oh no. Oh heart.
Look, Cyril falls hard and fast, and he is an old man.
Oh Cyril. Oh.
He's
Oh mate.
85 years old.
Okay. Oh Cyril, buddy. Hmm. Okay,
Why,
that's fine.
thank you for that. Um, oh, unfortunately, I can't reach a fortune at the moment. My tent is refusing to set itself up.
Oh, you've got. I see. So it's. Is it not some sort of magical tent then? She's gonna slowly move her way over with her staff, making that tonk tonk as she comes off of the path to the side.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna roll investigation to see if she can figure out what the heck is up with this den. No, it's about one. Two
um,
ten.
so as she gets closer to it, it is clearly magical. There's like some sort of magical sparks coming from it.
Cool. That's good. Just shooting.
And Cyril turns his body back around, and his face kind of just follows a little bit afterwards, and he uh, uses his own walking stick to walk closer to the mess and just kind of lean it and lightly kick at the tent, and you see it raise up like an inch before it collapses back down. Piece of junk.
At the kick, you're just gonna get an offhand um side comment of maybe you shouldn't kick the object that's sparking, dear. She's leaning over and looking at it, just well, it's certainly magical, but it also seems very much incredibly broken. How on earth do you get it into such a state?
Well, I don't know. Hmm.
You don't know. And
Nope.
she's giving you a really incredulous look. One of her brows are raised. How do you not know how you break this ten?
You see, I've been using this tent for 25 years, and it's never acted like this.
A very slow blink. Just a very slow blink for this woman. And she slowly, without looking away from you, Cyril, she slowly slides off the satchel and it thunks onto the floor. And she puts both of her hands on the staff and heaves herself up and looks at you. I don't know. I am very new to Inkwell, and I've not experienced many toon objects. The closest thing I have is a map. But I'm almost certain 25 years, unless it's fueled by an incredibly powerful source of magic, is not. I think you need a new tent, dear. This is clearly out of date. And I feel like the tent just gives a sad and sad sparks and a puff of smoke comes out from somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. And and Cyril just like looks a little crestfallen. Um, the hearts have disappeared, and now there's like, jeez, me looking at my own. His so his eyes start to like look very very wobbly. Like he looks sad. He's like, oh, I don't I don't have enough. Ah, I don't
You,
have quite have enough to buy a new one. I was hoping this one could last me at least 3 more years.
oh gosh. Um, so Sarah, you're gonna see this woman reach into one of the pockets underneath her cloak into what you presume is a pocket on the side of her cloak, and then she stops and is like, "No, I can't give you a handkerchief. You're a bull. You're a dome. You don't have tears to wipe away. You can't. Oh, oh my god. Oh my gosh, Bart. Cyril, buddy. Um, she's gonna reach out and she's gonna pat Cyril very slowly on the shoulder and just there. It'll be all right. I suppose what we can do is how about I teach you how to make a makeshift tent at least for now. Help you gather a few materials. See if we can make you just something bare bones to get you moving by.
As you say that, the like watery look in the smoke that had turned dark immediately turns bright again. And there's a smile again, like sadness immediately gone.
Gosh,
This is Cyrille, everyone.
I love Cyrille so much. I love this boy of a
And
man.
he's just like, really?
Of course, it's not. I won't say it's not difficult, but once you've got the raw materials and you know what you're doing, then it gets rather easy to actually just set it up. Although, and she looks down at the pile, I think we may want to try and salvage something from this. Is there anything from this particular box that you would wish to keep?
Um, so, uh, so there was a smile right there, and then as she asked that, the smile just kind of disappears, leaving only the rounded circular eyes. As he looks down at it and goes, and he just kind of crouches down with the, and I'm gonna roll investigation.
Before it. I can't roll investigation for her because she already rolled a nat one. She doesn't know what the hell you want.
That's a 3.
Oh no, Cyrille, buddy.
It's a 4 minus 1.
Oh, buddy. Oh, these two old people were just like squinting at this pile. Do they need glasses? Potentially. Are they using them? Absolutely not.
If Cyrille needs glasses, that's going to be a problem because his head is a crystal ball.
I think
Oh,
you just need to
oh,
put another dome over the dome.
actually, maybe he needs to polish the crystal, because it might be a little dirty.
I feel like if it's that, I feel like if it's dirty, and I'm gonna roll a quick perception. I'm gonna see if she can notice.
And he's just
She
making
notices
all
that.
these sounds, lightly pushing at parts of the mess.
I'm gonna roll to see if she can notice that you've got a dirty dome. That's the 23. There's like,
You didn't notice
there's
at first, but the crystal's not as shiny as it really should be.
it's got like that dull film that you get on like car window screens when they haven't been cleaned in a while.
Mm-hmm.
You're just gonna hear another, for goodness sake, and she's gonna reach into her pocket, pull something out, lay a hand on the side of the ball and just say, "Hold still, dear," and she's just gonna just scrub, scrub the ball.
Careful with that.
You need to clean your dome, dear. I don't think you can actually see anything out of that. You're awfully dirty. Do you not wash your face while you're on the road?
I
Honestly,
don't.
cleanliness is
I
very important.
I don't have any water. I haven't had water in a while.
Haven't at that it stops, and the cloth is pulled away, and you see just her face, about like 2 foot away from yours. Haven't had water in a while. When was the last time
Yes.
you ate and drank?
I don't.
The requirements for eating and
Well,
sleeping
I
and
don't
drinking.
regularly need to eat. If you hadn't noticed, um, I'm made of crystal and smoke.
Yes, well, I don't like to assume. Tunes are very new to me, and certain tunes require certain things, and I'm not going to assume what certain tunes require other than others.
This thing is Halloween Town is kind of far from a lot of other towns, and I kind of ran out of water, 2 or 3 days ago.
Mama just fucking looks at you. She and you didn't think to take any with you before you left,
Of
or at least
course,
enough of a supply.
of course I did. I filled my water skin when I left, but like, uh, a day or two after I ran out, I noticed there was a hole in it.
one side of the glass dome, and her other hand has got the soiled handkerchief in it, and she is just staring at your eyes, Cyril. She's staring you dead in the eye, and she doesn't look away. She just slowly puts that handkerchief back, tucked in a pocket underneath her cloak somewhere, and she's like, right, we're going to make an itinerary. First things first, mandatory supplies. Come along. We're going to go on a little trip. And she tonks her quarterstaff on the floor twice and just tugs on your sleeve and says, come along, we're going to get you the necessary supplies. But before we do, and she turns swiftly on her heel as she was about to head off, have another look, see if there's anything you can salvage from that.
And he reaches up and just kind of rubs his his sleeve against the crystal in front of him and kind of smears a little of the dirt.
She's gonna sigh and say, use the inside of your cloak, dear. Don't use your sleeve.
Let's see. I'm gonna roll again. That's a natural 20.
Yeah. She squeaks your dome squeaky clean, buddy.
No, it's just it won't load information that I've like loaded multiple times.
So, what do you find?
So he's like, oh, and he takes like a piece of like cloth and just pulls at it, and the whole thing goes. But afterwards, he has a very nice looking cloth, presumably that was laid on the table, and he makes a couple of groaning sounds as he gets back to his feet.
Well, the problem I'm having is with the Edward Jones stuff.
That's gracious. Do you want to roll me a perception? I'm gonna roll something.
Yep. Let's see.
'Cause
What is his perception again? It's been so long. And it's a +2.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, this is a 17 because I got a 15 +2.
Yes. With the 17, you definitely hear this woman mutter something under her breath. Not in a language, not in common though. Hey, what languages does Cyrille speak?
Let's see. Common, Grolix, and Draconic.
Hey, handshake. So you hear this woman mutter in Draconic, oh, this foolish man's going to get himself killed for goodness sake. And she's just muttering that under her breath. She doesn't seem to have noticed you noticing.
So when he gets back to his feet, he just kind of folds up the nice cloth and seems to just shove it up underneath his cloak, and it disappears.
Yep. Okay.
Into his hammer space. And he turns and he says in Draconic, you know, it's quite rude to mutter under your breath.
River's gonna stop. She's gonna go to turn around and walk. She stops. And then she looks over her shoulder. And I don't know if you're expecting her to look abashed or anything. But she looks over her shoulder and just with a deadpan look on her face, she's. It might be rude to talk about people who can't understand me, but you can. So, heed my words. Just follow me. She just says this all in Draconic.
And he's just switched to speaking Draconic now. This is just what it is.
It's fine.
And he just kind of using the walking stick because and leaving the mess there, he starts to follow along behind her, and he says, well, it hasn't got me killed yet. I've lived, let's see, 80, 85? Am I 85 this year? Yes, 85 years. And I've traveled the seas to get here. And I've lived here in Einquell for 30.
Gosh. As you're walking, this woman is just. She slowed down to walk somewhat next to you, like slightly ahead of you as you be talking. She's just, it's no great, well, actually, no, scratch that. It is a great achievement to have been travelling around and still be as sprightly as we are at our age. I'm 75, some such age, and quite frankly, I've been pretty much, I've been in all sorts of places. I've ridden the seas. I've visited Leviathans, I've studied drakes, and oh goodness gracious, an itch dragon or two in my time. I've Leviathans, drakes, drakes of all shapes and sizes and descriptions. It's rather much what I do. But just because you have a long life experience, you would think with your long life experience you'd at least know to check all of your things before you departure from a town. While she's doing this, you do see. I'm gonna roll with that perception from earlier. You see her. She's got like a blade of some sort that she's pulled out, and she's just like making small marks in some of the trees as she goes by.
Mhm.
This is just a classical tip. For like survival shit. It's just to
Mhm.
make sure she knows where to go back to. Um, and with that, I am actually gonna roll survival for her. Um, which is, let's see. She is going to go and try to find some water. Oh
Mhm.
boy.
And so after she's finished like scolding him, he's he's just gonna be like,
Ah,
"Oh, 75? I thought you weren't today over 60."
Oh, hush.
That was a very clear flirt. He's flirting.
She just snorts, rolls her eyes at it and says, "Aren't you a little old to be flirting with a pretty lump thing like me?"
That's what people might say, but, well, I can't help it.
yeah, but
For
at the same
15
time,
years, my senior. Goodness gracious, you. Have some self-control, would you? And there's clearly like a little smirk in her voice. She's walking along as well. Um, for the 17 though, I say, whilst this whole chat's going on, you do hear very slow approaching sounds of rushing water.
Mhm.
Um, and eventually we come through some brush and bracken, breaking through a couple of the trees. And as she does go along, she kind of cuts some of the twigs aside from the
yeah.
bushes to leave it slightly level.
Mhm.
So there's like clear disturbance. Um, and she just chucks the rest of it into the bushes. And as she walks through, we come to a stream, not a huge river, just like a small babbling brook through some of the trees.
Mhm.
It's intersects between some of the large tree roots that grow out because this is still near Halloween Town. They've got those huge spooky trees with the gigantic roots coming up and
Oh
out.
yeah, of course.
And this little brook winds between these gigantic tree roots, goes up and under and around, into like deep dark hollows, and it pops back out of the ground. Um, and she looks down and says, "Ah, yes. Well, this is good at least. Ah, right. Now we just right. So I suppose the first issue is," and she pulls out a water skin from her side and she holds it out to Cyrille. Take a sip of that, and then refill. Drink your full.
So as you hold it out to him,
Mm.
he's like, "Oh, thank you," and he takes it, and you watch as he takes the bottle and he dumps some of it over his head.
Um,
hands it back to her.
He slowly takes it back, looks at the bottle, and then looks back and says, "So you don't need to ingest water. It's also an
So
application."
hold on a sec.
Okay.
That's a 10. He pulls out his own handkerchief and starts like
Oh,
polishing. And wiping
okay,
away
hang
the
on.
dirt.
Oh my gosh. Okay, she doesn't lose a tongue for that. She's fine. Just
No,
slowly
no,
nods
no.
her head and says,
Uh, this is how I drink.
"That's how you
Yes.
drink, right?" Because from it looks like from me, it just seems like you've just wasted my water skin, dumped it over your head to give yourself a good polish and shine.
Well, the thing is as soon as it touches the crystal, it doesn't leave the crystal. You can tell that the cloak that he's wearing is perfectly dry. Not a single drop has made it to the cloak.
She's squinting, but she does slowly nod because she doesn't know enough about tombs to know if this is real or not. She can't call this man out if he's full of shit. She doesn't know. She just nods and goes, "Right, well, I suppose, if you'd like then." She gestures over to the one of the many babbling streams that has it just kind of spreads out like tree roots itself, the way it winds and twines between the tree roots. "Oh, I'm going to go fill up my water skin. If you'd come with me, and you might want to bring your own water skin."
Ah, of course.
And while
Oh.
she's doing, I'm gonna do this. Don't need to. Yeah, that's fine. Um, yeah. So she's gonna actually. What she's gonna do? Yeah, no, she's gonna go over to the river, the little tributary. She's gonna fill up her water skin until it's full. Put the top back on, give it a swift shake, put it back on her belt, and then you're just gonna see her kind of get up, the heave onto her staff, look around, and start examining some of the bushes nearby. Um, let's see.
So as she's doing that, Cyril just kind of went up to the trickling stream, and
Mhm.
before even getting out his water skin, he kind of kneeled down, and then stuck his head underneath
I was hoping you'd do that.
the
I
stream.
was so hoping you'd do that. I'm gonna roll another perception. Does she notice? Actually, you know what? No, I'm not. She's busy. She does not. She's not paying attention to this person. She's not. She can't handle. No. Um.
Even as her back is turned, she hears a.
She's not looking. She's no. No, she's not looking. She's on a mission. She's finding what she needs to find, and then she's gonna silly man things.
And then he pulls his head back out from under the water, and now it's crystal clear and very shiny. And he's
It's
gonna
like
busy himself by changing positions to sit down, then start. He pulls off his glove and he pulls off his gloves. Yep. I'm gonna wait to
okay.
see if she turns around or not.
Um, she will turn around. She's basically, if Cyril was looking at what she's doing, she's basically just been kind of going around the edges, like between the trees, looking at like all the plants nearby, and she's like, "I know there is a there should be the plant around here somewhere. These sorts of dark, dank places. Ah, ha, ha, there we go." And she reaches out and she seems to pluck a few leaves, and twine the stems together, or turning back around and heading towards Cyril.
So as she turns back around, she notices his gloves are off and he doesn't have any hands. But the stream that he's sitting next to, the water's like diverting around something.
Uh, slowly looks over at that. Slowly looks over at that hand. Builds back at Cyril. She's just so.
Hmm?
Mm,
What? I'm sorry. I'm just washing my hands.
I just, yes, of course. Of course. She's just. God, look. Archie doesn't know enough about tunes to know. Oh gosh, this man's giving her too much to think about. She's focusing on the necessities. She's not focusing on the oddities right now.
And the
Gosh.
water stops diverting around something, and he pulls the gloves on over literal air, and the fingers of the gloves move for a second. You know, like someone putting gloves on.
Yeah. Yes.
And then he lifts up one of his legs and takes off his shoe, and he doesn't have any feet either.
Right.
And he puts those and goes, ah.
Okay. I know what she's gonna do. Oh, she's gonna look at this. She's gonna hold her stare. Um, she's also gonna like just slowly lower herself back down onto the floor, put her staff to the side, hold her hand out towards Cyril and just say, "Hand me, if you'd hand me your water skin, I may be able to patch up the hole in it. It will be temporary, but you'll at least not be losing water."
Oh, thank you. And he reaches back behind him as he's like got his leg extended. There's something that you can't see diverting the water.
Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's a one. Lovely. Let's do this.
Oh, we got a fumble?
Fumble time.
Hooray! Is
Let's
this going to be a
see.
case of Cyril takes something out, puts it in her hand, and doesn't notice it's the wrong thing?
Yes. So he takes
Fantastic.
out a glowing bubble, because that's a 15, and he reaches over and places it into her hand, because his face is actually looking at where you suppose his foot is, and after doing that, he reaches forward and he starts rubbing,
Okay.
and where the gloves touch, there's a brief, like, it almost looks like there's a brief sight of, like an aftertouch of smoke, but it disappears shortly after his thumb leaves the area.
Huh. Okay. Hmm.
He's
Just
rubbing
blocking
his
that.
feet.
Yes. I can tell he's rubbing his feet. Um, did you say? Did you say that he handed her a a bubble?
It's a glowing bauble, so it's
Glowing
like
bauble. Ah, right.
so
A
it's
glowing
like
bauble.
it's made of glass, and it has like two or three little like trailing glass balls uh above the main one, and it's painted very expertly, and it
Hmm.
glows.
She's admiring this. She's admiring this, and she's not looking away from this. She will say, um, as pretty as this is, it's not the water skin. And I don't think putting water in this will. I don't think it would be safe to drink. As pretty as it would be.
Hmm? Oh, Cyril actually looks and goes, and there's a pink exclamation point that appears instead of his face.
At that, she's just gonna smirk and say, although I must say, it is an awfully good first gift from a suitor.
Um, so
Give me a smirk.
and then when she says that, the exclamation point disappears, and a couple of hearts appear instead, behind the formation of two eyes and a smile. Unfortunately, I'd have to actually find where that is because that, and as he's talking, it disappears in smoke, was a fumble. Hold on a moment.
At that, you are just going to see her hand kind of jerk away and her eyes widen. Um, you can roll an insight if you want. Pretty obvious, but you can still roll an insight.
I'll have him roll insight. He does actually get out his water skin this time.
Um, her hand is still out, but she doesn't seem to be looking at her hand or what you're handing her. She's looking at where the thing disappeared. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
24?
Yeah.
Yeah. This woman earlier mentioned she's rather new to Inkwell. You imagine she's not seen a fumble before. So the whole disappearing into smoke thing and that's new. She was not expecting that, and it was startling.
Oh, apologies. Um, Tones have this space that is always with them, that we can just reach into and pull things out of. Sometimes it goes a little wrong and we pull the wrong thing out, and well, the things that we pull out when
Yes.
things go wrongly don't stick around for very long.
I believe no before
See
Aquaman.
a slow, absent nod of the head as she slow, absent nod of the head as as you say that, and she says, "Well, that must be awfully convenient to have around instead of lugging around a bag all the time." And she is gonna slowly reach into her bag and pull out like mortar and pestle and set that down, and then pop the leaves into that. Reach into the water, like get a cup full and sift that in, like just a little bit into the mortar and pestle and start to crunch that up. And while she's doing that, her eyes are focused on that, but she is going to say, "You know, instead of just sticking one hand or foot at a time, you may as well just strip down and go in. It's not as if I'll see anything, anyhow."
Uh, no, honest. He so he moves and pulls his leg back towards him.
Mm.
I'm not taking a bath. Uh, I wouldn't be ashamed of myself to do that in front of you. What
Just hear
I
a snort from this woman.
There's a very clear. He turned the flirting back on. Um,
Defense mechanism activated.
it's more the fact that he's a flirtatious old man, and this is just what he does.
I know.
And he can't refuse a pretty face.
God damn it. God damn this man.
And
Gosh.
he has a wide definition of what a pretty face is.
I hold this man so gently. I also wish to dunk him headfirst underneath that water. Oh,
And no, he continues by saying, "No, I have problems with my ankles and feet, so often I have to take care of them by massaging them."
mm. He's gonna absently nod as she starts to mesh these leaves up into sort of paste, and then she kind of tilts them up to the sparse light coming from between the trees and examines it and nods, takes the water skin and just slowly starts to apply this stuff to where the hole is,
Mm-hmm.
making sure it's like tipped upside down and completely dry, which I imagine it is, considering it is not been with water for 3 days.
Yep,
Um,
it is. Actually, when you tip it upside down, there's a of dust that comes out.
She's gonna want to wonder her breath. How did you manage to get sand and dust in here within 3 days? Where have you been? And she just starts to patch up the hole with this weird gunky stuff.
To that he answers, "Well, I always keep a pocket of sand with me just in case someone attempts to, I don't know, attack me." Pocket sand.
Sand. You have to be rather creative with the sand in order to turn that into a weapon. I suppose as a toon, that is. I suppose there are many options for using sand as a weapon as a toon, and she just kind of paps the hole shut, and she kind of tilts it side to side. And then she gets some string out of her bag, ties it around the top of the water skin, and ties it on the top of her staff. And she's done it so that the side that's been patched up is facing outward, so it's not going to knock into the staff. And she just swings that from side to side and says, "Whilst we're looking for other things, it's best to let that air dry. And once it sets, it's as I said, it's not permanent. It will wear away with time, but it should keep that hole patched up for a while." She looks back at Cyrille. As for your wrists and ankles, hands and feet, for a word of them, I'm not a doctor or a medic. I can't advise you on that, but I would. Have you not seen a doctor or a medic about those?
Oh, do not
I
do not
heard.
fear about it. This is condition that I have because of family stuff. It's genetic. I think that's
Heritage.
I think that's what. Yes. Just it's all right. I have my gloves are actually made of magic, and that helps to keep it from spreading.
The woman nods. Elizabeth nods. Right. So long as you're doing what's best in your old age, you can't really afford for your body to break down more than it already is, as she says. And as she gets up, you can hear like the creak of her bones, just kind of, you hear like a snap coming from her back. She's like, goodness sake,
Yep.
as she gets up. And
He finishes up massaging his feet and puts his shoes back on and uses the quarter staff to get up.
you see her eyebrow raise and say, "Well, I don't want to rush you. You can take your time if you need to. However, we have yet to achieve the actual goal outside of getting you liquidated." Um, she looks at your now very shiny dome. I feel
Yep.
like as you get up, it's just a slight bit of light hits the dome and it starts to sparkle and twinkle.
Yep, of course.
Um, and he taps the ground twice with her staff and says, "Next order of business is finding some good substitute items to pitch, help you pitch that tent." Right, and she's just gonna kind of look around and make her way off into the woods again and says, "Do keep up, dear. If you need to sit down and well, rest your ankles, do let me know. I don't want to wear you out."
I'm quite fine, thanks. Doing just a little bit of massage for my ankles and feet does much wonders. He says as he follows after you, with a lot more energy than he was before.
She's gonna call back. If you need a massage, don't come crying to me. At least not before a first dinner. And this is where I. She's gonna think. Actually, she is gonna just suddenly stop, as she's been walking, probably through like one of the brush and the pathways.
Mm-hmm.
This is when I roll one of these.
I'm gonna roll a perception because he might bump into her.
Go ahead, please do.
That's
Don't make it go.
7 + 2, so I think he almost does. He's like, oh.
Um, you almost do. You can kind of feel like you feel like her staff kind of just instinctively kind of tap back at like your knee.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, give me just a moment. I've got to just give me a second. Sorry about that. I
No,
was
no problem.
called for dinner. Um, but I will finish this up before I go back down. Right. Right, yes, what's she doing? Okay, this is what she's doing. You want to see her stop? And let me just check how she does this, because this is the first time I'm doing this. And I need to make sure that she's doing this the proper way.
Mm-hmm.
DD. Where are you at? Oh, okay. Oh yeah, okay, cool. Um, you're going to see her stop, and you're going to see her. I think if we keep going the way we're going, it's going to take far too long for us to get everything done in a reasonable timescale. So I think it's time that well, I think it's time that I show you why I'm so well versed in Draconic. And she's just gonna reach up underneath her cloak and she's gonna lift her right hand and lift it around to her left shoulder and squeeze her shoulder. Um, this is where I roll D10. Nice, excellent. Um, and you can kind of hear like a whoosh from the trees, and a shaking, like a shh.
Mm-hmm.
And then with a um, in a strange, not quite puff of smoke, more like a gust of wind that twizzles around with leaves in a little flurry, and as that gust of wind disappears, um, in front of you is a small, young dragon, a small drake.
And first there were question marks in the smoke, and now there's just this. Now there's just his eyes, and they're wide and large, and he's like, "Oh, look at you! You're so small."
Uh, get a glare and a hiss.
You're so you're so wonderful. Oh, look at you.
It's still hissing at you, but you can see that its chest is puffing up slightly. It's got like a crowned frilled lizard head.
Mhm.
And it's a typical Western style dragon. It's got wings, it's got the four little legs. And along with that frill behind its head, its tail is very much like a sail.
Mhm.
Um, so it doesn't have like anything on the end of the tail or along down the tail. It's just like you see it kind of thwick, and then it flares up the
Mhm.
sail that goes along the length of its tail. And gosh, Beth shakes her head and says, please don't demean down to the drake. They tend to get rather offended if you call them cute or anything of the manner, and they can and will bite you. At that,
At that, you've probably noticed that Cyril is halfway towards the creature reaching up because Cyril, his intelligence is an 8.
Okay.
And
Cyril, as you're walking towards this drake, you see a stick come down in front of you, of a quarterstaff. This woman is using her quarterstaff to buy away. Do not pet the drake. Do it respect.
Sorry.
How would you like if I came up to you and just started patting you on the head with a gloved hand and calling you a good boy?
So as you say that, the smoke turns pink.
I feel like as she says it, her eyes widen. She's like, "Oh, for goodness sake!" No, not like. For goodness sake, just step back. There is a very slight flush on her cheeks. She's like, that's not what I meant. Just step away from the drake. And she steps forward. She's not looking at Cyril.
He steps back, his head out, palm. There are definitely hearts there.
Goodness gracious, she's ignoring that.
So, do you want to know what he was going to do? You know how sometimes aunties like pinch your cheeks? That's what he was going to do to the dragon.
Oh, bad idea. Oh, you foolish man. Yeah.
He may have a lot of wisdom, but also he's not smart.
I noticed, and I heard him softly. So she is ignoring him. She holds out one of her hands like a hawker would for their hawk, and the dragon flies up, crawls up her arm, and sits on her shoulder. She looks at them and says, This is a paltry request. However, I do need your assistance, or I will be out here far, far longer than I really ought to be." And this frilled dragon kind of puffs up and looks away and says, "Why should I assist you then? Because if you don't assist me, I'm going to keep you with me, and you won't be getting any snacks." As my companion for the day, I require your assistance in helping me find certain woods of structural integrity. You sent me out like a dog for fetch. No, I send you out like a drake companion to assist their drake warden. And this dragon gives a puff of smoke, and a lashing of its sail tail kind of flaps her on the other shoulder. And she's staring this thing down, and this thing is staring at her back. You're just watching this woman stare down a tiny baby drake.
Honestly, it's not unusual to see her. That's the thing about Cyril. There are a lot of things he doesn't find unusual.
Gosh. His
hand is now on his chest, like, aww,
gosh.
Because this is a baby.
This baby is gonna, its slitted eyes that were locked onto Elizabeth slide to you, and you see it give a quick flash of its teeth. And Elizabeth shall continue on. If you assist me, I shall try and find you some trout. And the frills flare up, and its attention is back on her. Trout. Fresh trout. Yes, fresh trout. Yes. Assist you then. And the wings flap. With a jump and a swift taking of wing, it flits between the trees. And she sighs, turns back towards Cyrille, and kind of beckons with her hand to say, firstly, thank you for not petting the dragon. Please treat them with respect. They do not like to be baby talked, irregardless of their age.
Sorry. He just starts laughing. Suppose it's just a toon instinct. He's an old man. He is grandpa age.
Shake her head and just. Well, just so long as you keep your hands to yourself, I won't have to be tearing. I won't have to be tearing them off your fingers. Hey, she kind of, her eyebrows kind of furrow, and she says, "Although to be fair, I don't know whether your hands are invisible or if they're simply
Oh, they're
more so
invisible.
right.
That's the
Perhaps
condition that I have with them.
see. I wasn't certain if it was invisibility or just smoke, and she just kind of gently donks your glass dome with her staff.
Oh no, the smoke is supposed to be there.
She nods. Well, if you want to keep everything where it's supposed to be, don't pet the dragon. And I'm gonna roll her another survival with advantage because, um, whilst that Drake is out looking for the materials, we may as well head back to where you'd set up and at least try and sort things out that way. No, I'm gonna add a D4 to that because I can.
17 is pretty good.
17 is pretty good. It probably takes her a little bit because she walked in a different direction. From when she left off, and she had to kind of track back. But she quickly finds the notches she's left back in the tree and kind of guides us back to where we were supposed to be.
And do you want to like fade out to her like say that definitely happens, and because we do have another FPS today and I need lunch.
Yeah, no, I'm so sorry. I talk a lot. I'm
I
really
know,
sorry.
but it's fun. I need lunch
I also
and you need to get dinner.
yes, yes, I
And
shake
then we
her
can
hand.
return.
Return. The Drake comes back. And Cyrille might get bitten. I don't know. But
Cyrille probably doesn't get bitten because it was only the first time that the Toonish instincts would activate. Although he'd probably coo compliments at the dragon.
the dragon, the dragon's just gonna hiss back and probably try to spit acid. But gosh, yeah.
Like,
It's just
oh,
like a short
aren't you fantastic? What a good job you did, sort of thing.
gosh. Yeah, we're just gonna close out on these two quick cutting into setting up, finding necessary materials to get him to get to at least a makeshift tent. Now,
Yeah. And of course, he thanks her by reading her fortune.
ah, excellent. I don't think she's had her fortune read before, so that will be interesting.
I don't know about that one though.
Thank you very much for playing with me, Heart. I'm sorry
Yeah.
we went for a bit so long. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening. I
Thank you
hope
for
this
listening.
was a fun little aside. Um, have a good time, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.